his grandkids.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So that was fun.
I can't remember which meeting I was in the other day, and
I'm sure he appreciated you coming out too.
wasn't it? Were you there?
What do I want to see? A belief or whatever. That
My dumb phone rang?
still had to be approved by certain committees.
Maybe it was executive.
Public safety, I would imagine, what it was.
Executive.
And that was a little bit of backlash when I got appointed to that because I was not law enforcement certified. I was an administrator and a correctional facility, but I was not law enforcement certified. And so there was a little bit of backlash, but in the end, they left it up to the sheriff's decision. They came up with a sheriff's decision. But I think there's something in writing. So
You did? Oh, shit.
committees, or committee approval, and that was maybe contrary.
I
to-
heard
I don't know what's
Daniel Clance was coming
I don't
against
think
me.
any sheriff really never got their feet up in the selection. I mean, well, Ron was the original. He was
John Nixon, huh?
there, you know, and then anybody was told, no, you can't have it. No. So I think it's just more of a formality, you know, that it just needed to be written correctly, I guess.
And it's up to the sheriff. I look at this like, the department heads have to work these people.
Okay.
So that's, they wanna pick.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call meeting to order. Megan will do roll call. Thank you, Megan.
Mr. Bonfiglio,
He's excused.
Mr. Piaski,
Here.
Mr. Tim,
Here.
Mr. Cap,
Here.
Mr. Eckstein,
Here.
Mr. Jarvis,
Here.
Mrs. Colada,
Here.
Mr. King,
Here.
Mr. Peterman,
Here.
Mr. Lauer,
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Here.
All right, thank you. We will stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed. Motion by Mr. Piaski, second by Mr. Jarvis. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we're going to, before we approve the minutes, we are going to be serenaded by the 4-H carolers. And I might add, the decorations are in the courthouse, have been done by the 4-H, and they've done a wonderful job. So we thank them for that.
Colada, I know we have the Blazing Stars from Waushara hiding the other clubs from the Loyal 4-Hers. In fact, the Loyal 4-Hers decorated the Christmas tree as you come into the main entrance to the building.
And last year, actually, the Blazing Stars, they made all the ornaments.
That's great. Thank you.
Hello, we're the Blazing Stars Parade Club, and we will be singing for the Carol Street tonight. I'm Gavin Gunderson. I'm Kaylee Gunderson. Skylar. I'm Mackenzie. I'm Kayla. I'm Savannah. You know, Dasher and
I'll look for a recipe. I think you were supposed to. That was really nice. Thanks to our 4-Hers. All right, next we need an approval of the minutes of the November 5th, 2019 monthly meeting, the 2020 county budget hearing. Motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Cap to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, next we have public comments, and I don't believe anyone signed up to speak, so we'll go to unfinished business, which we have none. The new business, reports and presentations, the county administrator's monthly report. Mr. Suick.
Thank you, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public who are here tonight. Rather than give you a recitation of events, past and future events, I thought I'd just kind of do a bit of a year-end review. 2019 has been a very successful year. You know, unfortunately, in county government, we're always worried about dollars, but that's important because those dollars aren't ours. I just wanted to point out that revenue has been up for the budget that you passed last month, primarily because the county staff has been more efficient. I particularly want to give a shout out to Human Services and EMS and Aging Services. As you may recall from the budget that we passed, we went from a little over $40 million to $44 million without a tax increase. In fact, there was a slight reduction in the mill rate. That's because we've been more efficient here. Those efficiencies will continue. One of the items on your agenda tonight is for a purchasing card program. Hopefully that will be approved. That will enable the county to route more of its purchasing, and we do purchase a lot of things through our credit card program, and as your personal credit cards, we would get cash back. Initially, we anticipate receiving cash back of in excess of $80,000, and I think if we're disciplined in how we handle purchases, that could even increase. $80,000 is a lot of money that'll pay for an employee without an extra burden on the taxpayers. The other thing, just so you know, is it's December, and auto dealers have to, and particularly salespeople, have to meet their sales goals, and they want to get their bonuses. So we are purchasing some vehicles this month. I was speaking to Aging Services Director Pavla this morning. She had budgeted, and she was planning, and she purchased a new vehicle for delivering meals, and because it was December and the aforementioned circumstances were present, she received a $5,000 reduction in the purchase of that vehicle. So that's $5,000 we can use for other things around here, which is important. Basically, our goal is to try to get as much revenue from sources other than our taxpayers to fund our services, to keep the high quality and hopefully even increase quality. On the economic development front, we're working our way through TRETSI. Ms. Zalski and her colleagues from the other 2 member counties are working through that. I can't say that all the news is good. We may be getting some more bad news, but at the very least, we've stopped any further damage on that front. Tourism, Mrs. Collada and Supervisor Eckstein and I have been participating in a consortium of counties from here north to Superior as far as cooperative tourism projects. We are doing joint advertising with them, and we are also doing joint shows. One of the things that we're doing, because we're proactive, is we are trying this year a show in a tourism show in Tinley Park outside of Chicago. That's where a lot of our tourists come from, rather than the Milwaukee show, which we had traditionally gone to, because that's basically morphed into a home goods show, pots and pans, things like that. So we are active not only in tourism but other things. The other thing is, because of the reorganization and extension, one of the support staff has been repurposed to the administration. That's Miss Kowaleski. She's doing a variety of things to fill in gaps that we have here, one of which is she will be working with the Department of Tourism, the IPBEC, that's a consortium of counties, for providing information to promote tourism. One of the things we'll also be doing, and Rosie will be working on this, is we're going to pursue a grant from the Department of Tourism. And you hear me complain about state government all the time, but I want to tell you, and Mrs. Collada knows this, the Department of Tourism is by far my favorite state agency because they do a fantastic job. We're going to apply for a grant from them for branding. All of us buy stuff because of the brand, whether it's a car or clothes or whatever. And the same holds true for people traveling somewhere for vacation or to relax. They respond to branding, whether it's Door County, the Apostle Islands, Wisconsin Dells. Here in this county and in our partner counties such as Green Lake and Marquette, we have fantastic tourist infrastructure, scenery, Nordic Mountain, our hiking and biking trails, et cetera. But the problem is we don't have a brand that people know outside of this area. So hopefully we can have the Department of Tourism and their expertise help us so we can get more people here to spend more money to pay for these services rather than to put that burden on our taxpayers. Let's see. Overall, the county has been acting more cooperatively with other counties to be more efficient in the services that we provide, and we've been combining our resources and our efforts. We have been engaging in more active lobbying in Madison. We are beginning to make a dent and get some responses. Last Friday I was in Madison for the day, or actually it was the week before that. We are slowly making headway to change the culture in Madison that has existed for decades of unfunded mandates from state government and continual diversion of revenue streams that are meant for local governments. We're doing that because our hands are tied on a lot of the revenue we can raise and our ability to provide services for others. Overall, the county personnel, you hear me talk about change quite a bit. We're providing small tokens of our appreciation in the form of the Christmas luncheon that took place a couple of weeks ago, the summer picnic that we have in June or July. Those are small tokens, but larger tokens are we are committed to maintaining the same high level of health care. That's one of the few perks that we provide that makes us competitive with the private sector. And I'll give you some bad news tonight. I am committed to increasing salaries for county personnel, but I'm also committed to finding some way to pay for that without putting that burden on taxpayers. This isn't just a one-way street. I know it's Christmas time, but the county isn't necessarily Santa Claus to the employees. There's also a reciprocity in that the employees know that standards are rising around here, performance improvements are expected. And by doing that, we're able to do a much better job of providing county government to the people of Waushara County. Overall, what we want to impress upon the employees and what we have been impressing upon the employees is working here isn't just a job for a paycheck. It's an honor to be engaged in public service. It's a privilege, and what we do is important. And everyone who works here, what they do is part of the same team, pursuing the same mission, which is to provide the most effective and efficient county government to the people of Waushara County. So we're moving on those fronts. You will see continued improvements. It will not always be easy, but we can do better and we will do better. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next, we'll have the Corporation Counsel's Office Annual Report. Ms. Zowski.
So the good news is that last year we had talked about a couple of lawsuits that were going on. Those both have resolved. One was with a former inmate that was dismissed by the Eastern District of Wisconsin, and a former employee filed a sexual harassment complaint, and that was dismissed by the EEOC. Right now we do have a claim. A notice of injury was filed by a current inmate. That is with the insurance company. They're doing the investigation right now. But based upon the documentation, and there's lots of it, I have another box to send to them, it's unlikely that there will be any liability. His complaints range from things like we're hiding his cancer so that we don't have to treat it, to our jail is unsafe and dangerous. So it's all over the board. But I'm not expecting that there will be any liability for the county on that claim. We're continuing to work on collections for multiple departments. Over $100,000 was received again in 2018 from old accounts. I anticipate that number will increase for 2019 as there is a more concerted effort for all collections. So it was typically Human Services and EMS that we are collecting the majority of our money on. But now we've been receiving bills from the Highway Department, the Sheriff's Department, and some of the other smaller departments on things as simple as open records requests and copies. So we're working on doing that. It's been a busy time in our office as we have been short-staffed most of part of 2018 and again now, not due to our paralegal staff turning over, but due to turnovers in the district attorney's office. So we had Scott Blader leave, and then it took a while for the governor to appoint District Attorney Anderson, and then it took a while to fill an ADA spot, and then that ADA didn't work out, and then we had to get another ADA. And now, of course, you know, Mr. Anderson has left us and gone to the U.S. Attorney's Office, so we are back down to one attorney. I can tell you that Attorney Bratz did have an interview with the Governor's Committee this week, so we're hoping that that process goes quickly for an appointment, but then we will still have to hire the ADA position. But we're making it work, and the courts have been very cooperative. There's only been a couple of days where we were supposed to be in 3 places at one time, but we're working on it. As you know, we converted from the coroner's office to the medical examiner. So I did some coverage for them while we were in that transition. We completed training for the county staff on the OSHA required topics, and this year we also included a refresher on the harassment policy and how to report concerns. Given all of the publicity with the Me Too movement, we thought it was time that we did a refresher, and we had some assistance from our insurance company on some of those trainings. As Mr. Civic said, we're working with Marquette and Green Lake counties on the revolving loan fund that was previously administered by Tredsey. That all has to be either bought out or turned over to the state in January of 2021. So we're looking at some different options, and we'll have a proposal for you in the next few months about where we think Waushara County should go with this and in what direction to do the closed program. I continue to teach a session in the Aging Masteries program with Extension and Aging on powers of attorney, and I had just talked to Ms. Pavela about doing some additional outreach for National Healthcare Decision Day, which is coming up in April, to try to get people more familiar with the process and make sure that they have their POAs in place so that they're ready in case something happens. So we keep adding a few things, but we're still trying to keep up and keep afloat. And if anybody asks you why things have not been charged, we are a little behind. But we are working on catching up, and hopefully we'll have the DA's position filled soon, and then we'll be able to move forward. Does anybody have any questions? George?
Do we have Scott Blader to blame for the loss of Stephen Anderson?
Well, I tried to blame him, and he assured me that he stayed out of the hiring process, that they have a whole team of people that are on the interview board, and that they brought it to him, and he was part of the final 5, and he abstained from voting in favor of Mr. Anderson. So he assures me that he is not poaching our staff, but I told him I didn't appreciate it.
Good for Steve.
Very good. Thank you, Ruth. Next, we have the Surveyor's Office Annual Report. Mr. Smart?
Good evening. Most of you know the big project for me every year is section corners, and what I do is to go out and get coordinates on those, accurate coordinates that we have never had in the past. This year I did just about completed the town of Hancock. I have 4 or 5, I think 5 left yet at this point, to problem corners that I need to finish up. When I'm doing this, I also look at those to be sure that they're in the correct location, that they haven't been moved, that they haven't been damaged, those sorts of things. And of those 5 I've got that I mentioned, 1 was completely destroyed, and there's a couple others that are questionable. They may have been moved. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll find that out for sure. Several this year on County C that were destroyed during some highway work that all had to be replaced. Other than that, I'm starting to work on, or have been working on, the Bannerman Trail. Over the years, people kind of encroach and start getting a little closer and that sort of thing. So we're kind of looking at that. We did find 1 building that's partly into the property. Working on that with Ruth to take care of that problem here soon. That's gonna be an ongoing project for a while. As you know, that's approximately, what, 6, 7 miles long, so that's gonna be an ongoing project for a while. One of the things I'm involved with too is the land records, and some of you may or may not know that we just received the LiDAR data this year. And what that does is it gives us very accurate information as far as elevations. So that was actually paid for, the base LiDAR was actually paid for by FEMA. And Zach Newton, the GIS specialist for the county, did a great job with that, being able to kind of coordinate those things. But that gives us now 1-foot contours throughout the county. And we're hoping, in particular, kind of have the sign, since FEMA paid for it, we're hoping that they'll redo the floodplain maps throughout the county. And some of you and some of the townships in particular know we've had a lot of issues with that on some of the lakes and those sorts of things. So we're hoping that they'll do that. And Zach and I are both going to be in contact with FEMA to try to edge them along to do that. And lastly, there'll be new aerial photography flown this spring. It's usually flown right after the snow's off the ground and before the leaves come out. This will be 1 meter pixels, so in other words, it's very accurate. It'll have very good definition. So if anybody wants to put a message on their roof or something like that for perpetuity, now's the time to do it. So, anyone have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to say thank you for your work on the Bannerman Trail. That's been a problem for a while, and I'm so happy that you're able to tackle that. I appreciate that.
It was a little daunting at first, looking at how long it was, but I think, as with anything, we'll take it piece by piece and we'll get there. So,
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Oh, and back to Mr. Civic's report, I just want to say that if I were going to buy a new car, I would take Debbie Pavlova with me because she really knows how to strike a deal. Good job, Debbie. All right, we have under discussion possible motion action items, amendment of the employment contract between the County of Waushara and Robert J. Civic to bring said contract into compliance with Wisconsin law. Do I have a motion? Mr. Kirschner.
I'd like to make a motion to table this till next meeting. I need a little more information, and I'd like to sit down with some parties. That's
Okay.
my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kirschner and a second by Mr. Lauer. Now, are you saying take this back to executive? Is that
Yes,
what you
yes,
want,
and
or?
We bring this back to the January meeting, and we act on it.
Okay,
Is
We-
it-
we have a
now,
motion.
we have
Yes,
discussion on this now?
yes.
Is this going to affect anything? I mean,
Well, do you have, what are your concerns?
I'd like to talk to you about them.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have a draft request for qualifications, and this is concerning our building project. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Piaski, to approve, I assume. Do you have any questions or comments concerning the RFQ?
Oh, I have one thing.
Yes.
I noticed that they didn't have the Boise Highway Shop on the list.
Yeah, so in talking to Brian Frymark, he had indicated that what he is looking for in the renovation period is the state is starting to really recommend the brining process for winter roads. And so he needs a bigger water line in Hancock and in Watoma. But I asked him about Poisippi, and he said he did not think that they would need anything in Poisippi, so that's why that one was left off.
I just thought if we're doing a study, we should be looking at everything.
I
Oh.
can get it in there.
Well, we are looking at the Hoysipi EMS station
I know,
and
but
dining
that's like
site.
the oldest, one of the oldest highway shops, and then I would just think, you know, they might be something for renovation.
I'm sure you
It
can.
ought to be at least looked at, I think.
All right, anything else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. I think we probably should do a roll call vote on this, right, Ruth? Sure.
Mr. Lauer,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mr. Piaski,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
Yes.
Mr. Cap,
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein,
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis,
Yes.
Mrs. Colada,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Peterman.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a formation of a county special events committee and authorization for the county board chair to appoint members to said committee. A motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Cap. Mr. Civic, do you want to explain what we want to do here?
Yes, Madam Chair. Basically, if some of you, if you recall, back in August, in conjunction with August Fest, which the publisher of our newspaper handles, we had a children's carnival on the courthouse lawn. We did that also in conjunction with a back-to-school event that the Human Services Department was doing in the demonstration room downstairs. It was just a day that families and children could play games. We had a bouncy house, some snow cones and other things, et cetera. It went over very well for a first outing, and obviously that will continue. But the other discussions that I don't know if Mr. Rosenau is here, I saw him earlier. One of the things that the bill has been working on is a farmer's market out here on the courthouse lawn. The idea is to give people, particularly in the summer when we have a lot of tourists, reasons to come downtown, and I'm not ashamed to admit also to wander over in the main street and to spend money in the restaurants and with the merchants as well. This is also part of the plan for, although we don't have a plan in place for the buildings renovation project, but one of the things we want to do for that project is not only to make these buildings more efficient in terms of the physical plan, heating, cooling, lighting, and the layout, but also we want to reconfigure the buildings so that they're more user-friendly to the public in terms of meeting space for local or public-minded organizations, and also for green space for events of that sort. I spoke to Supervisor King, who's on the Wautoma Common Council last month, and one of the things that we're talking about for special events, I know that the city of Wautoma has music in Bird Creek Park, and it's a great event, but the issue is from an economic development standpoint or from a commerce standpoint, Bird Creek Park is detached from the commercial district here in town. To have that music, say, on the courthouse lawn, again, would have the same effect of the children's carnival or farmer's market to get people here downtown to spend money to not only improve Wautoma's economy, but also increase sales tax revenue and our tax base.
Do you have any questions?
Was there anything in our packet regarding okay, I thought I was missing something, so I just didn't know if there was anything
I
drafted.
don't think there was a need to have
No,
anything
that's
in the
fine.
packet.
Yeah, I just didn't know if I was overlooking it.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, a recommendation by the administration to award a contract to U.S. Bank to institute and maintain a purchasing card program for the county of Waushara. Motion by Mr. Kirschner. Second by Mr. Lauer. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, next we have consideration and possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances. The first is resolution number 37-12-19, a resolution modifying the Human Services, Children's Services Coordinator to a Children's Services Special Position with a modification from a pay level J to a pay level H. Motion by Mr. Cap. second by Mr. Jarvis. Do you have any questions? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote on this one.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mr. Piaski,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
Yes.
Mr. Cap,
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein,
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis,
Yes.
Mrs. Kalata,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Peterman,
Yes.
Mr. Lauer.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next, we have resolution number 38-12-19, a resolution to reorganize the Department of Human Services. Motion by Mr. King. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lauer. Do you have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 39-12-19, a resolution authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks, and this was brought forward by the county treasurer. Motion by Mr. Jarvis, second by Mr. Cap. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 40-12-19 in support of clerk of court and register in probate offices, charges for court costs, fees, and surcharges. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Cap, second by Mr. Peterman. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have resolution number 41-12-19, a resolution amending resolution number 18-10-17, naming Green Lake County as fiscal agent for the ADRC consortium. Motion by Mr. Peterman, second by Mr. Jarvis. Do you have any questions?
Is Green Lake County gonna do this for 13 years like we did, or is this, an annual thing?
I have no idea.
It just
Maybe, Mr. Erickson?
Yeah. I just didn't know if this was just something that just rolls over till someone else wanted to take it. It looks like we've been doing it for a long time, so. Perfect. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Kind of where it fits better too, isn't it? I mean, sometimes a staff might work better for it or something. I mean, just where their position is at the time or something.
I think it's easier for them to learn that process each time, to understand what they need in that role.
Right.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 42-12-19, a resolution to make a sole source determination. Motion by Mr. Piaski. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Peterson. Okay, do we need an explanation on this one? Okay.
I guess that's me. The sole source procurement, we have that in our procurement code that I think you passed about a year and a half ago. In those types of situations, not every product or service that we purchase is something that there's a large market for, where you have competitive bidding. In certain situations, you basically have one person or one entity that can provide that good or service. That's the situation here. Oftentimes you'll see it in specialized equipment or specialized services. Unfortunately, in a rural jurisdiction, we face more of that than you would in a larger community. So it's just a way to acknowledge the fact that we only have so many suppliers, and to not have to spend a great deal of time and effort in trying to seek competitive bids that just aren't there.
For the board's sake, and Mr. Picard can attest to this too, tuck pointing is something that's a very specialized service and hard to sort of find multiple vendors that'll do tuck pointing.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Resolution number 43-12-19, acknowledgement of Stephen Anderson's service to Waushara County. Motion by Mr. Eckstein to approve, second by Mr. Piaski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. If we opposed it, would he come back? Oh, well then. Yeah, I would imagine.
Maybe give him a year.
Well, he said he'd come back for the jailbreak marathon, so. All right, consideration and possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances. Continued, ordinance number 642, an ordinance amending chapter 22, article 2, public health hazards, Waushara County Code. Motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Cap. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ordinance number 643, an ordinance amending Waushara County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58, Waushara County Code, zone change, Chris Jorgensen, Town of Parsippany. Motion by Mr. Peterman, second by Mr. Piaski. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Ordinance number 644, an ordinance amending Waushara County Code, Chapter 12, Article 2. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Cap, second by Mr. Piaski. Any questions?
Explain it.
It's just changing the word coroner to medical examiner. It was what we got just when we switched the office.
Okay,
Oh.
I had a question
Okay.
relating to 642. I wasn't sure which one is which here. But it was for the disposition of unclaimed bodies, if I recall.
That's in here.
That's 644.
That's 640, what?
That's 644.
That is 644? Okay, it's for disposition of unclaimed bodies, but there's doesn't say what happens to the ashes after the body is cremated.
They used to sit in storage at Likeness Funeral Home for us, and since Amanda has started, Amanda has been taking them back with her to her office, so they are in her office, other than the ones that are there, and then she continues to try to reach out and try to find family to release them to proper family.
So they're not buried or anything like that, like they used to do with, before the cremation?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Appointments, the Board of Health. Patty Miller, Watoma, term January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. Motion by Mr. King to approve, second by Mr. Jarvis. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Economic Development Corporation, Dennis Apps, Coloma, term January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And Dwayne Deachens, Watoma, term January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. Motion by Mr. Eckstein, second by Mr. Peterman. All in favor? Oh, yes? Do you have a question?
Make a correction for you. It's December 31st of 2022.
Is it? Okay, I saw that, but I
on the
thought
sheet,
maybe
so-
this was,
Unless it's wrong on the sheet.
got it, Megan?
So the sheets that I was given have Dwayne's term going through 21 and have Dennis's term going through 22. So I copied them over from the sheet.
You said 20 though, when you read it.
Oh, did I? I thought I said 20.
Yep, you said 20.
Dennis's would have this.
Okay, all right. Dennis Apps, Coloma, January 2020 through December 31st, 2022. And Dwayne's is, term January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021, right? Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Suggestions for future agenda items? All right, I hope you notice the clock is working. We have Mr. Mike Hoke to thank for that. He took it and worked on it and got it going again and brought it back, and it had a little glitch, so he took it again, and now it's back, hopefully for good. And Mr. Picard gets to wind it once a week. All right. Motion to adjourn by Eckstein, second by Mr. Tim. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, and thank you to the department heads for the great treats. Go in and help yourselves, and I'll sit here and get mine and sign my papers.
You're brand new here.
You haven't gotten them yet, have you? Huh?